Hey, I'm OSsie from Three Monkeys Solderless. So let's continue chasing the tone. Brought to you as always by Three Monkeys Solderless, home of the world's best connectors and cable and all kinds of good stuff your pedal board needs. DC I'm dyslexic. DC, quarter inch, and we also have RCA. And the cool thing that I didn't tell anybody about with the RCA, is that you can make an adapter, right? You could have a quarter inch to RCA by screwing a quarter inch on one side and the RCA on the other. Okay, so anyway, let's get back to work on chasing the sound, right? That's what we kind of do here. So we're starting to narrow down on some things, or I'm starting to narrow down on some things that I personally believe are important to gaining that first album sound. Obviously, people can differ in their opinions and what works for them. Because, not everybody's going to have exactly the same feel or touch or ideas or hearing. So what works for one person may not exactly be, gospel for everybody. But I'm going to try to get as close as I can with, what God gave me here, unfortunately, and some other, basic principles that I've sort of narrowed in on over these last few videos, right? Like we've done videos about pickups and guitars and amplifiers and plugins and all kinds of stuff. So now it's time to start, I think, coming up with another thing, right? Another thing to add to the list. I'm pretty confident in this guitar, right? So this is where I'm at for the Van Halen 1 kind of thing, as well as, that Destroyer. I think that Destroyer is right on the money too, or that Les Paul, the gold top, but the Mighty Mite, right? The Mighty Mite I think is key. Right, so again, we have this, hard ash body, pretty heavy, Warmoth maple neck here, and then a Mighty Mite 1800 vintage. And Mighty Mite still makes pickups, and they do a good job. I think the Super Distortion, like old Super Distortions, even newer ones, will get you in the ballpark here. All right, so we got the guitar. I think this is what I'm going to go with. So for like the last week or two, I've been developing in private. In the lab, I've been developing this thing, right? So I haven't named it yet, and I'm probably going to drop it on the floor. But this is a maybe Ed in the box, an Ed box, an E box, and the purpose of this, it's not going to be like the Jose pedal or like a preamp unit that you would put in front of another amp. Maybe you would do that. I don't know. It probably wouldn't sound terrible that way, but what I'm designing this for, all right, what this is designed for is to work with impulse response equipment for recording or for going into full range monitors, right? So that's the principle that I'm narrowing in on. If you want to get that full album sound, that first album sound, you need full range monitors and you need, some of the accoutrement of the studio, right? You need some of the reverbs, you need all these good stuff. Otherwise, what's coming out of the 412 cabinet doesn't have the bandwidth. So this is going to be made for pairing up with things like the two notes, or in this case, today we're going to be using the aux box. Now, I actually put a line in on the back of the aux box, and there's some, it's pretty easy to do. I think if you look around online, you'll be able to figure it out. If you have any questions about how to do it, maybe I can help you answer them. But we're going to be experimenting with this guy over the next couple of weeks or months or whatever in combination with the aux box. Maybe we'll throw in the two notes too, but we're basically going to be using this setup, guitar into this thing, the E box into the aux box, and then into my digital workstation, right? And we're going to see how close we could get with this, and maybe something will come out of it. Right, so let's see where we sit right now with this unit as it is. First day, aux box first day, no effects beyond what's in the aux box. So let's see what we got here. All right, so I think we got, a pretty cool sound to start off with. And then we're going to try to make it, a little bit better. And we're going to go into the studio and start adding some plugins and to see what happens there. And as days go on, I'll do tweaks to this thing and try to get it, a little bit even closer. So give me some opinions if you like, down in the comments about, hey, needs a little bit of this, or hey, I think this is pretty cool. Maybe go a little bit more with that. We'll see how all that works. So, yeah, let's start. So let's go. Let's leave this image, this area right here, and we'll go into the box and we'll look at what's going on in GarageBand and work with that. All right, see you there in a second. Okay, so we're in the GarageBand program, and you can see we have all of our tracks here that we're listening to. There are actually only 3 that we're hearing right now. We've got them labeled. This is the microphone, obviously, for my voice. And then we have the 2 channels coming out of the back of the aux, and I've panned them hard left and hard right. Kind of close to, so it maintains that stereo image. So one side has really more of the dry, non-reverberated signal in it. The other side is pretty much, all reverb and very faint in terms of dry signals. So that's kind of close to what, what was going on with Eddie's sound in the studio. One, there was the track was panned, or his guitar was panned to one side, and reverb was probably shot just straight down the middle. So you could hear it better on one side. It was all reverb, but the dry side had reverb in it too. For a lot of those tracks. So anyway, so let's start listening to each track in isolation and see what each one sounds like. So I'm going to mute the reverb track, and we'll listen to what it sounds like kind of dry. Let me mute the mic too. Okay, so that's our more dry side. Let's listen to the reverbed side, and you can really tell, more reverberated. There's some horse crap for you. Anyway, all right, so combined we have this. Okay, so I think that sounds pretty cool. Maybe it could use some low end, a little more low end, a little more thud or thumpage. So let's go into the dry side, right? We'll mute the reverb side, go into the dry side, and we'll look at doing some EQ adjustments. So in that studio, they had a lot of API gear, right? So we're going to be using this API EQ, which is right here. Okay, so this is the 3-band, and from the pictures I could see of the console in Sunset, it had both this 3-band as well as a 4-band, but I think this is the one that was used on the guitar. So let's start by we'll flatten these from our last session, right? So flatten that down, flatten that down. We'll flatten that down. All right, so let's turn on the EQ. And let's start, let's look at 200 hertz. That's good. We'll bring it up like 2 dB. Let me mute the mic, and then I'll move some stuff around. Okay, I think that added a little bit of good low end. I think 4 dB was too much. 200 hertz seems to be pretty good there. Maybe if we dropped a little bit of mid-range, right? So let's see. Drop a little bit of mid. So right now you can see here in the mid frequencies we're about 400 hertz and 2 dB down. So let's listen to that. Okay, let's see if we scoop it a little bit more. That's interesting. Let me turn down the mic so I can hear it a little bit better. Now that's kind of interesting, right? So let's add in the other side, right, and see what that sounds like now with the reverb on top of that. You know what? I kind of like that. That could be something. Okay, what if we added a little bit more, let's say 10K, because that was in that book, right? The Renoff book, with Templeman looking over at Landy and saying, give me something, and he knew right away it was +2 at 10. So here we got 10K, 10 kilohertz, +2. Ooh. Okay, I think that's kind of cool. That sounds pretty cool. The other thing that we liked, all right, so let's save this thing as we'll call this the, what we can call this, the E-box. All right, so this is E-box. EQ for the dry side, right? Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, so next, let's look into the Pultec, all right? So the Pultec, we usually like to do on the master. And the master in GarageBand affects all channels, right? So I can go to the master here and control the overall sound so I can hit both channels. So we're going to use the this Pultec, right? And the Pultecs are, in my opinion, like the greatest thing ever made, except for like LA2As and 1176s. There's probably some stuff out there that I'm unaware of that would be like I have to have, but I don't know it yet. But these are things that I just love. This EQ, right? So let's, this is set up from the last video, right? Now this is a different piece of gear, right? We're using the E-box instead of that Marshall head that I had modified up. So it's probably going to sound a little different, but let's hear it when we put it in and see what it does to the sound, just like straight off the bat. All right, now let's turn it on. Bang, it's on. Turn it off. Well, I like it better with it off. So we're going to have to reset this thing a little bit. What does this sound need? Maybe a little bit more low end, right? So let's turn these guys down to nothing. This is the high end side, right? So let's get these out of there. And let's deal with the low side. We're at 100 hertz in boosting and cutting with this bandwidth in the middle, right? So maybe let's turn it on. And we'll start with like just like hitting an E and listen. It's getting fatter. That may be too much low end. So let's do there. Let's bring down the boost a little bit. It's getting a little more defined there. Let's take it off. I think I like it better with no Pultec for some reason this way. It's interesting. What happens if we hit it with a little LA2A? That really messes with the reverb pretty bad. So let's get that out of there. I think that's something that would have to be done. Let's give it a little less slammage. All right, so the peak reduction, let's go to 10. Let's see what we end up with. That was another major jackage. It's just going to take a little bit more off of that. don't think that's a good thing either. You know, maybe a little bit of it was good. Bring down the gain just a little bit more. Just try it there and see what we get. It's not bad. Bring it up a little bit more. You know what? That's not too bad. Let's leave that there, and we'll save it to start with, and we'll also call this like the E-Box master limit. We'll start with that. Okay, so we'll take that off of there. Let's listen to it one more time with it out of there. I don't know. I can't make up my mind. I think maybe I like it better without it, which is actually a good thing, right? Because the less things you need to do this, the better. So far it looks like we just need the E-Box Moto Teddy preamp unit, the aux, and then this API, right, that we did as a recap on the track, right? Let's go back to that and just review it, right? So we added a 2 dB bump at 10K. We dumped 6 dB down at 400 hertz, right in the mid-range. And then we bumped up 2 dB on the low end at 200 hertz. So yeah, I'm digging it. So I think let's get out of the box and go back to the Submarine Studio. All right, so we're back in the Submarine Studio. We also have the Teddy Zerp. I know I'm nuts, but that's okay. All right, so I think that's good for this video, and I'm going to try to do these a lot more often. I'm going to do tweaks, you know, inside of this thing, and see if it's better or worse. You know, it's going to be like, can you hear me now? Is this better? Is this worse? What's this like? Is it A or is it B? Is it A or is it B? And we'll continue around chasing the sound that way. Yeah, so thanks again for hanging out, and feel free to ask any questions or make any comments. And once again, sorry for the lousy guitar playing. And we'll just keep going and see where this thing ends up. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.